Hello, hello, hello. Am I audible होने के? अच्छा अच्छा ठीक है. We'll start now. We'll start now. Okay. Good evening to one and all. On behalf of Philosophy family, I extend a hearty welcome to all of you to be part of the Philosophy family. Today, we have a very good session on philosophy and social science. Today, we have invited Professor Radhanath Behera, retired Associate Professor of Mathematics and former Principal, Nabarangpur College. I extend my regard to him for being agreed with us to be the speaker of today's webinar. You might have listened the speech of Professor Radhanath Behera on different occasions. And you know, Professor Radhanath Behera is a scholar of mathematics. He was the professor of mathematics, and he is an author of a couple of books. Many of his articles have been published in different national level journals, in Bhavan's journal and in other journals. Professor Behera has been associated with different cultural forums and academic forums of our country. He is the vice president of Odisha Senior Citizen Association. He is also associated with Ramakrishna Ashram, Sri Aravinda Ashram, Srujani, Chennai, and many other associations that I do not want to explore. And you know, Professor Radhanath Behera has been amazed by his ability to make the complex concepts understandable in simple discussions. I have listened his talks on different forums. It's my great honor today to speak uh, some of his contributions to the science and social sciences. With our request, though Professor Radhanath Behera is a scholar of mathematics, is a professor of mathematics, we have requested him to reflect upon the relations between and the connectivity between philosophy and social science, because Professor Behera has a deep understanding of philosophy, religion, literature. His achievements have been recognized by many institutions. So, on our request today, he agreed to talk on philosophy and social science, being a scholar of mathematics and science. We listened his discussions on his journey, the national level forums. So, in order to make a connectivity of Professor Behera with the members of philosophy family and to witness the talent of Professor Behera, we requested him, Professor Pramod Kumar Das and Professor K. Umnan Rao also requested him to have a talk in philosophy family. So today he agreed with us and he is with us now. I extend my greetings to him. I also welcome Professor Dr. K. Umnan Rao, the moderator of philosophy family, and Dr. Pramod Kumar Das, the main architect of philosophy family, to be with us. And with this, I welcome all the learning participants in philosophy family today to witness the speech of Professor Behera. So once again, I welcome all and I request Professor Behera to commence his speech. Sir Pranam. Sir Pranam. Welcome, sir.
Pranam. Thank you very much for your long introduction, which I think I do not deserve. There is a saying that when the sun is setting, a small object casts a long shadow. You can think of the sunrise at the same time. A small object also casts a long shadow. But why do you say sunset? Because if an undeserving person is given a seat of importance, he would only spoil the occasion. The long introduction which Dr. Kailas Maharana gave similarly spoils my image. I do not deserve a word of what he has said. But he has a right to say it because he has not invited me, rather, I have coaxed them, Dr. Pramod, Dr. Kailas, and Professor Rao, to please invite me. And they have agreed. Materials achieved by dint of self work or exercise of their body. Now, to covet the wealth of another man is a crime. A crime not only for the human being, but for the state. Therefore, a good state is one which is governed by or administered by a brilliant ruler, and the people have to be ideal. They have to be very much consistent with the objective of the state. Otherwise, the state would spoil itself. Now, philosophy actually begins with the love of truth, hatred for falsehood, intolerant of all untruth. A philosopher is a gentleman of courageous nature, self control, friend of all good without decrying anybody's role in society. Therefore, the highest wisdom for any man would come from his love of truth or philosophy. Now, a true doctor is one who can, out of his own experience, administer medicine to a patient, but a quack is one who pretends to be a doctor without being beneficial to the patient. To fall into the hands of a quack is to invite trouble as well as death. Therefore, the supreme power is to be vested with supreme or the superior man called the philosopher or the administrator. He administers virtues like courage, unafraid of danger, and he would certainly be non-injurious to his fellow being. Now come back to good state. It Plato said, in which the good state is one in which human excellence is developed. Therefore, it is a just state where injustice would not play a foul role. Human excellence is a fruit of the heavens. A just and efficient state is one in which It would be the business of the state to allow people to grow according to their own nature and to their own good. And Plato's Republic was certainly a utopian of those days in which there was a found hope to administer collective wisdom into the hearts of men. Again, Plato gave an organic view of state, organic theory, which is more important, the human being populating the state or the state in which human beings are populated. Human being is a component of the state, a minor part. State has a bigger role. Now, what can be done? If the superpower, the state is benefited, profited by the people, is it not sufficient that all the inhabiting people are gained by the fruits of the state? In other words, if the whole is benefited, can a part be left out? The answer is, of course, true. But then there is another view. I am reminded of a little anecdote of George Bernard Shaw. He used to say that we are so much troubled with uh, our own self, that is the component part of the whole, that we cry that we are being attacked by a fox. The fox attacks us, tears us apart, but cannot kill us. And we cry for that and run away to be devoured by a lion. Therefore, let us not think of the small parts. Let us think of the betterment of the whole. The whole is the state, small part is the human being. An example is also given by Plato himself because it is an organic state in which all organs are interconnected. If a finger is hurt, does not the body feel the entire pain? Obviously, yes. Similarly, if a section of individuals are troubled, the state bears the brunt of it. Therefore, you cannot neglect the component parts and think of the state as a whole. Next question arises, why should the state be obeyed? What is the reason? Because it is to be obeyed only because we have to gain from the state. State protects us. State gives us utmost protection, safety, as well as property, without which life would be dull, insipid, and barren. Therefore, in what way we are benefited by the state? Answer is, you are given enough protection to live. State comes to your aid. State comes to protect you, to save you from any sort of danger, known or unknown, by a machine or by an animal or by another state. So state has to guard itself. State defends itself as well as its citizens. Now, in the organic theory, Plato gave us enough of knowledge, wisdom, and we were truly satisfied when we read it, refer to it. I come across the story of an American judge, Justice Holmes. He was reading Plato's Republic at the age of 92. When somebody asks, sir, what's the reason of reading an antiquated book like the Plato's Republic, he said simply, to improve my mind. Now look at the optimism of the man. At the age of 92, he would be still learning things which was denied to him during his youth, middle age, even in his old age. So such things certainly crop up when you look at the masters, the master builder of classics. Therefore, we come across again uh, the 17th century to 19th century when the state as an organism fades into state as a machine, and this machine age is developed by Bentham, John Stuart Mill, and many others. And after that, there came a romantic age. This romantic age was developed by philosophers like hero worshippers, Carlyle, Nietzsche, poets like Keats, Byron, Shelley, and so on. And later on, we come across great philosophers like Thomas Hobbes and Locke, John Locke. These people took enough pain to develop the theory left by the great masters of Greece. What is a state? Why should we obey him? Obey it. And what is the outcome of obeying a state? Now, we come across Hobbes, the philosopher. He started not as a philosopher but as a mathematician. He was interested in geometry. He wanted to go deep into the geometrical truth, but somehow uh, destiny perhaps awaited him that he would contribute much more to the philosophy of human beings. Therefore, he moved away. He was a tutor of the future Charles II. He was teaching him mathematics, particularly geometry. And it so happened that after the execution of his father, Charles I, in 1649, there was a great trouble, and Cromwell led for about 11 years. And about 1660, there was a return of the king, Charles II. Charles II did not carry the evil designs of his father, and so he became a sort of moderate, being tutored by Thomas Hobbes. Hobbes lived up to 92 years, and his great disciple, Charles II, arranged for him a pension which he enjoyed for his whole life. Now, Thomas Hobbes gave us a good account, a book called Leviathan. What is this Leviathan? It is a commonwealth. It is a book that takes into account every aspect of human aspiration, human passion, human principles. Now, in his great book, to go back to Hobbes, he was a moderate, he was a thinker of repute, and he had his original ideas carried out throughout his life. So, Leviathan, when it is translated, actually, it gave us a compendium of human thought, particularly his theory of the universe, his ideas about human beings, uh, and he gave us very profound idea about human life. Human life he analyzed and said it is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and soft. He characterized human life. It is solitary. No one is no one's friend. Poor. Even if he tries hard, he never improves his lot. Nasty. It is free from decency. Brutish. There is some animal like quality in him. And short, transient. Because life cannot be eternal, although ideas can be eternal. Now, what is a state again? State, of course, has one great thing, namely reason or will. Reason lodges in the head. Therefore, anything coming from the head, even if it has limitations, it cannot be challenged because it has come from the depth of a good man's head or brain. Now, there is a will. What is that will? It is the common goal of all the citizens. A single will cannot make a common will. Therefore, the common will, the will of the state, is to be enforced on every citizen, whatever his will may be. Next comes, of course, we have to form a covenant, a sort of compromise, a sort of agreement with the state. Now, even if there is a constant uh, argument against the covenant, why should covenant be there? A covenant is an agreement, a document with the state. So Thomas Hobbes said, covenants must have a sword because without a sword, covenant is merely words. We have seen in the first after the First World War, when the League of Nations were formed, it was neither a league nor nations, and it failed because it had no teeth to bite. All the offending constraint of League of Nations failed it because they did not agree to the common will, which is the covenant of the League of Nations. So it is said, in a state, a king cannot be rich, glorious, or secure if its denizens are poor, contemptible, and weak. Therefore, it is the state which is the magnificent creation of man. And Leviathan has the power bestowed on it to run the state from one step to another. Therefore, Leviathan, law of nature created by Leviathan, has to be the sole interpreter. Hobbes was very fond of England. All his ideas were taken to by the English custom as well as the American Constitution. All men, uh, life is just in a flux, and all men move with it. Therefore, there can never be a life with a tranquility of mind, a steady mind, because everything flows. The mind or the ideas within, they have to flow, they have to move out. There cannot be life without desire or fear or without any sense. Now, apart from that, there should be a contract, social contract. The contract not of Rousseau, but of Hobbes. In a primitive society, men have to prosper by surrendering themselves to the whims of the state and never to question it. Therefore, the control of the state is supreme because state is ultimately the goal of every enlightened citizen. Our evolution from the 17th to 19th century deals with it, and therefore, a state should not seek the beginning of itself, but the principles behind it. A good state, again, need not look far beyond, but to the principles that constitute or manage it. Hobbes was having an analytic mind, but he was not historical in approach. His law of nature was both brutal as well as moral. Brutal in the sense that the right of punishment is reserved with the state, and state blindly follows its own dictates. Then came roughly his junior partner, John Locke. He was a brilliant political theorist of his time. Though not the best, his impact was very profound all over the West, particularly Europe as well as America. He gave us a good insight that is, politics has to adjust himself to human reason. Although human reason is fallible, subject to change, subject to correction, subject to modification, politics is the art of adjustment with the human region. Therefore, we come across the great thinker, Locke, and his most important contribution was liberalism of the human mind. He was a liberal. He came across the British concept of divine right of things, divine right of kings, the hereditary principle of administration. Divinity of kings was not ordained by human beings or by any other agency, but by God Himself. So people used to say, like James First used to say, that not only human beings call him the divinely appointed king, even by gods he was called God. Such was the superiority of feeling of an individual who was just a creature of the state, never appointed by human being, never elected by them, never loved by them. So divine right of kings became for some time a very pleasant fade, but ultimately it gave way to liberalism, where the king's powers were circumscribed either by the church or by the human agency called parliament. So we have seen in England the divine right was challenged by the sacred right of man. American society depends on the sacred right of man by by Tom Paine. He was the man who challenged everything that was not natural or just historical or boisterous. So this way, bigotry gave way to enlightenment. Here again, they developed the scientific point of view. Galileo, Newton, Kepler, Copernicus, they gave their own findings. And whatever was unbelievable was shown to be believable. Therefore, these men of science were intellectuals. They had set a standard in which debate and discussion would rule the roost. Through debate, through discussion, they would arrive at a conclusion which was beneficial to the whole human being. Therefore, even if there is a romantic movement, the uh, men of science were never challenged, rather, they were worshipped as the benefactor of human beings. Later on came the concept of dialectics by the philosopher Hegel. What is a dialectic? Dialectic is an idea, and dialectic, because it it is it has its roots in Greek philosophy. Dialect is to debate. Dialect is to discuss. Dialect is to survey any proposition and to take it to its logical conclusion. So Hegel, another important philosopher of the time, he dealt with the truth of the whole, and the truth of the whole can be reached by the individual participants in a historical process. Now, this historical process itself is a sort of rational movement from one point to another. Therefore, Hegel used to comment the real is the rational is the real. The real is fundamental. It starts from basics. Therefore, it grows. And slowly, he built his own philosophy called the philosophy of triad, in which the idea becomes a sort of thesis. Thesis is not the final authority. Thesis is not the final goal. Thesis as an idea has its movement. It moves, and during its march, it encounters its own opposite view or the opposition antithesis. And both of them quarrel. They fight. No one is the loser. Everyone moves again, and finally they merge into another view called synthesis. Thesis and antithesis are never destroyed in synthesis, but they find their own position there and they blend into synthesis. Therefore, any idea which is originated then moves with its opposite, and finally merges into synthesis. But does it stop there at synthesis? Idea is no. Hegel said this synthesis again becomes a thesis, meets its own opposite in motion. Both of them quarrel or debate or fight, and finally another new synthesis is born, and the process continues. Hegel, being a German, he had his Prussian state as the ideal state, and he believed that every idea starts from Prussia, the older form of Germany. It moves to America, then to Japan, and through India again reaches Prussia or Germany. So this is a sort of road march of idea as thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Therefore, these are called a rhythm of change. They follow a pattern. They move according to the dictates of the era, and they move not necessarily futile movement, but in a profitable manner. There is another example of being opposed by non-being and finally merging into becoming. So, if thesis is being, antithesis is non-being, they fight and become and uh, merge into becoming. Being and non-being are partners of becoming, but being and becoming, their stress is not lost. They are still present, but in a modified form, in a less controversial form. That is the brilliant idea of Hegel. Hegel, in a sense, is the progenitor of Karl Marx. Karl Marx, is a 19th century philosopher. He published a profound work in 1848 called The Communist Manifesto, along with his partner Engels, and that became a Bible of the modern times. People looked at it, did not believe it. Their own state, either in England or in Germany, they were not taken into account. But in 1917, when it touched Russia, the Bolshevik started revolution in the line of Communist Manifesto. The Tsars were driven out, and communism was established as a socialistic pattern of state in which every man has a role to grow, to contribute to the prosperity of the country, and to enjoy the fruits thereof. Therefore, Communist Manifesto, the Bible of modern times, gave rise to a new concept of socialism, or what we call communism. Uh, Benefits are not showered on individuals because of their birth or calling, but because of their contribution to the society. All are created equal. When a philosopher said, like Rousseau said, man is born free, but everywhere in chains. That could not subsist. That could not be carried out in a communist state. Man is born equal, and he can remain so under one roof. But then there are differences of opinion. It is confined to a very few countries. Russia was one, so also Communist China. Uh, in the West American continent, it is Mexico and so on. However, It is profound. It cannot be ignored so easily because quite a sizable section of the world are under communist pattern of society. Now, what communists believe in collective work, they call it a class. That may not be a state, but there is a class. Not necessarily ruling class or laboring class, but our class. They belong to one class. But unfortunately, this is corrupted into ruling class and laboring class. The class that derives the benefit of the labor, the fruit of labor is vested with the rulers. Now, I come across a brilliant satire by George Orwell, the writer, the novelist. His profound book, a small one though, in the late 60s, 1960s, called Animal Farm. He bitterly criticized the communist pattern of society, calling that it is the dictatorship of the proletariat, the ruling class, over the laboring class. And the animal form, that is a form of in which the denizens were all types of animals, and they used to contribute to the society by their own view. The, for example, the pigs became the rulers. Look at the satire of George Orwell. The pigs took the control of the whole animal farm, and there was a saying, the manifesto was, all elements are equal. When they took charge, the pigs modified it, saying, all animals are equal, but some are more equal than the others. Who are they? Pigs. Roughly saying, it is the proletariat, the dictatorship of the proletariat, who are more equal than the ruling class, the laboring class, the laboring class, the people at the down to the low rung of the society. So, in order to make it a classless society, they insisted on the class, and the class can continue as long as this disparity continues. So that was some of the pitfalls of communism. Otherwise, the entire world would have fallen into the trap of communism. So, in a sense, the state exists because it has all the elements. It has territory, it has human beings, it has knowledge, it has wisdom, it has finance, it has army, and many other requirements which a state can progress. Now, Karl Marx, in his survey, said history is just economics in action. Because in economics, we know the theory of value. In a society, in an economic society, value is more important. The value of an intellectual, the value of a laborer, the value of an artisan, they are all different. So, shall we pay uniformly to all of them? Answer is a big no, because in that way, we devalue their talent, their intellectual output, their capacity for innovation. Therefore, the theory of value insists that not each according to his need, but each according to his ability. Ability is not only bodily vigor, but mental rigor, strength, and creativity. So, in a society, when all these things are guaranteed by the state is likely to become an ideal state, which was hoped by Plato, Aristotle, even to our stage of Hegel, Rousseau. Jeremy Bentham, and so on. Now, in passing, we may point out that Bentham, in his view of organic state, said that the goal of every human life is to enjoy pleasure. Pleasure is the highest good. Pleasure not at the expense of others' discomfiture, but pleasure on its own. So that was also adopted by Jeremy Bentham and no, Mill, John Mill and his son, John Stuart Mill, James Mill and John Stuart Mill. That became an ideal for some time. They became popular because they said, particularly John Stuart Mill said, it is better to be Socrates dissatisfied than a pig satisfied, because Socrates had the highest wisdom. He did not see what his thought was aimed at in developing a state. So he was dissatisfied and ultimately he was killed. But pig, he has only one consciousness, namely hunger, hunger, pleasing his hunger, breeding for his generation, and so on. So it is a pig easily satisfied, but it is difficult for an intellectual like Socrates to be satisfied. So better to be Socrates dissatisfied than a pig satisfied. So these are all ideas of Bentham and his school called the School of Philosophic Calculus. Therefore, if pleasure is the highest good, let us pursue it. But then pleasure has its own limitation. If pleasure is bliss, it is to be pursued. If pleasure is this fulfillment of bodily sensation, it is to be discarded, because bodily sensation does not lead a man eternally towards its goal. There is a limit put on the way. Beyond a certain age, a man cannot enjoy his senses. It is established. It is true for all animals, all organisms, all beings. Therefore, it is better to be Socrates dissatisfied than a pig satisfied. I am not sure if I have transgressed my time. I have made my own proposition calling upon the state to live up to the expectation of all its individuals, and individuals to contribute their might by, by being obedient to the state, and state is an international person. In the Committee of Nations, state is given a due status. When India says something in the uh, United Nations, it is represented by very few, a few intellectuals, but behind them is the thronging 140 crores of people. Therefore, not all should be pushed to present their viewpoints, but a few of them, and few great, wise, and sufficiently sharp intellectuals. I have come to this stage where I am an admirer of state, and state lives as long as the human beings live, and who dies if the state lives. I thank you again for giving me an opportunity. I tell you at the beginning, at the end, that I am not competent to delve into the subject, which is not my own, because as the philosopher Wittgenstein had said, uh, whereof one does not know, thereof one must not speak. I have changed it, even if I have no competence, because my friends have given me an opportunity. I cannot say no to Dr. Kailas Maharana, to Dr. Pramod, Das as well as to Dr. Rao. Therefore, at the end, I thank all of you and particularly my friends. And if some opportunity is given to me, I would be talking on a third stage of philosophy, its impact perhaps on another important topic called religion. I hope Dr. Pramod Das would offer me this opportunity again sometime. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks so much, sir, for your reflective presentation on the philosophy and social sciences. And it's very much comprehensive and full of clarity. So, though no philosophy is not considered to be a social science, but philosophy is closely connected with social sciences, and philosophy is considered as social science in some context, and because it has a rational construction of social sciences, it is both descriptive and prescriptive also. And we have today we have witnessed your outstanding talent, the how you are uh, you are you are able to present a very comprehensive view of social science, and particularly giving a brief description on a Greek philosophy. You have put your views, put your own observation on the relation of philosophy and social sciences, and particularly you have given your observation on Plato, Socrates' view on social sciences, and you have also uh, discussed uh, the views of Kant, Hegel, Karl Marx, Rousseau, J.S. Mill, um, Bentham, in relation to their concept of ideal state, the relation of individual with society, human region, the importance of human region, social change, classless society, a class um, contrast, social context theory, role of the state, uh, and different social phenomena. So today we are very happy that you have unfolded different different dimensions of social sciences, and which makes our that um, extensive. Today, you have very clearly given your observation on the relation of a state and some individual, and you have very beautifully presented Plato's organic view of the state, where you have said that for Plato that the human excellence is demanded in a good state, in an ideal state, and the role of a state is to allow the people to grow according to their goodwill, and the whole of the state depends upon the excellence of the individuals, the morality of the individual. And the state gives utmost protection, safety that is for the individual. Uh, that is why the individuals have to be loyal before the state. And I do not want to explore much on your topic that you have already discussed. You have tossed all the points that Hegel, Kant had given in their philosophy of social reflections. So I I bow down before you. I put my congratulation. I extend my congratulation to you the other Western philosophers. So now I would like to request Professor Dr. K. Omnan to carry on the congratulation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Maharana. Well, I also thank Dr. Radhanath sir, Radhanath Behera sir, for a beautiful account, a very comprehensive, very clear account of touching the history from right from the Greek period till date, he has tried to bring out the idea of the state and the position of the individual in the state. And finally, what I feel is he has a conviction that state is more primary than the individual. Okay, individual is just a part. And what I feel is a great supporter of the organic view of the state. Well, with this understanding, well, basic understanding, well, let us have a discussion. Well, very good ideas have been carried out. Well, a bit of reversal in trend. Normally, we used to go at the last to our admin, Professor Das, but today let us begin with Professor Das. Okay, so I request Professor Das to have his views and then we will carry on the discussion. Professor Das. Yes, are you there? Well, Professor Das is there. Yes. Yes, sir. Please welcome, sir. Sir, please, your views.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Am I audible?
I think, yes,
Hello.
unmuted, but some technical issue. Let us
Hello.
wait for half a minute. Yes, sir, please.
Hello.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Professor Das, you're
Hello.
not audible.
Hello. No, Hello. Hello. Hello.
Microphone. You have muted your microphone. Now please speak, sir. Yes, now speak, sir.
Am I audible, sir?
You are audible now. Audible now.
Uh,
Yes.
Yes, sir. Really, I appreciate the talent of sir. Really, it is wonderful. Uh, his English, the way of expression, his comprehensive wisdom, everything is really beyond our imagination. Thank you, sir. In two or three sentences, I can say what I understood. That sir related philosophy with three disciplines. One is politics or political science, and the other is economics, and the third one is history. The intention is to show the importance of a philosophical thinking in the empirical sciences and social sciences. That is the intention. As we have four purusarthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, all these cardinal values of life, purusarthas, they are related to our social life, our empirical life. They are not metaphysical. For example, we are talking about dharma as a purusartha. It is administrative by nature. That the question of righteousness comes. What is right and what is wrong. Here comes political interference, political understanding, legislative way of thinking, looking at the things. All these things come. That we have, Sir beautifully said that there it is based upon region. That we give importance to region. So that is a purusartha also, that is called dharma, and that relates to political science, the administrative part of our life. But that is a part of life, that is not the whole life. Philosophy is that which can deal with all parts, all departments. This is one part, political science. Regarding economics, Sir said very beautifully that consumerism, what should be the true nature of consumerism? How can we really prosper our economic aspect of our life? And for that, philosophical insight is very much necessary, because philosophy all transcends and also emanates in all disciplines. May it be political philosophy or economics or history and all other social sciences. Sir will tell part by part. And when he is talking about history, there we deal with the history of a philosophical thought, the development of thought, how philosophical thoughts have been evolved time to time, confronting the adverse situations or political situations of the contemporary ages. Through that, or the limitations of the previous philosophers. Out of the limitations, and because thought is transformative, thought is dialectical by nature, therefore if the thesis is accepted, if thesis is established by one philosopher, our dialectical way of thinking inspires us to go it towards its opposite. How it can be criticized, how can it can be critically assessed, understood. So this is a human ability, and it has been demonstrated in the course of time. That is history. How Marxism comes out of the Hegelian dialectics, etc., etc. How Kant is a very beautiful point of the history of philosophy, who made a revolution in thought. Many great philosophers have made revolutions in thought. So thought is not abstract. Thought itself is organic by nature. That means one thought leads to another thought. It is discussed, it is criticized, then another thesis, antithesis, then a synthesis comes. So the record of this and the development of this development is history. And there also philosophy takes a very vital role. So this much I understood, and so far as the contents are concerned, it is very comprehensive. Sir gave so many examples. Sir illustrated so many issues in philosophy with stories and the lifestyle of the great philosophers. This is how Socrates preferred to commit suicide. This is a purely personal. This is a personality of a person. So there, that was also discussed by Sir. That how a philosopher gives importance to his own self-esteem, and he does not go with the compromise. So that is recorded by the history, how the thought has been developed. Sir, I am really grateful to you, and you are really an asset in research area. The way you are expressing and the stock of your mind is really wonderful, sir. Really, really, it is very interesting, sir. We shall invite you again and again. Actually, being a mathematics professor, you have depth in philosophical insight. That is great thing. We philosophers have to learn from you, sir. So you come part by part, and you relate philosophy with other social sciences in future, sir. Thank you, sir. Grateful, sir.
Well, well, thank you, Professor Das. Well, I want to start with something like this. From the discussions made, having a tradition, having a history. Now, from the entire discourse, if I come to a point to ask what actually a state expects from the individuals who constitute the state. Okay. And the other way around, what do the individuals expect from the state? So I wish to know from Sir, taking the theories, what would be the position that would make a state and the individuals who constitute the state a better place, a society or a land where many things could be kept balanced. So that understanding, the basic understanding that we as members of the society should know. Okay, so your ideas, your views, sir, please. Sir, please unmute, sir.
Okay, Professor Rao.
We live in a very critical world where the idea called give and take operates. We give something to the state, state in turn gives us something else. So, why should we worship state? Why should we sacrifice the most important part of our life to the growth of state? Answer is because we have created state for our own benefit. Without this concept of benefit, I don't think state would have existed because the individual philosopher, individualist philosopher, Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. His ideas were very individualistic, but still he looked at the state. I think, I am a thinking thing, therefore I exist. Because I think I must exist. Because I think I must speak. Because I think I must operate or act. So this is fulfilled within the confines of a state. Therefore, an individual seeks his fulfillment within a state, and the state grows when such individuals grow. Okay.
Okay. So, so at the end of the day, when we say a state is a good state, it's a good state, it's a bad state. When we make such assertions, somehow when we say it's a good state, we are having a positive affirmation. But when we say the state, okay, it's a bad state. So somehow the individual fulfillment is um, is
The key
somehow
to
it's,
success.
it
It's a key to success. Yeah.
yeah, yes. So why this idea has come to me? Well, when we talk of a state, it is for the benefit. It is not for a selfish interest. It is for the benefit of all concerned, the greater good. So state is something. It's an idea where we flourish together. It is not a piecemeal flourishment or individual
Exist. Right.
individual existence. It is
Hmm.
rather the existence of the whole of the community. So that's why when it was Abraham Lincoln to be right who said, "Don't ask what the state has given to you. Okay, uh, say what you can give to the state. Don't say what the state has given to you. So you say what you have contributed to the state. So that plays a better part. That is a position that one should be more attached to. So don't say what the state has given to you. Don't question. Don't ask what the state has given to you. So you ask to yourself what you have given to the state, what contribution that you have made to the state. So
Correct.
this idea will somehow, I think, uh, is the idea one should carry in order that the state goes long and strong. Because any claim from the state would shatter the state. Rather, we should think that as the state has to grow, it has to continue. We, as the members of the community or the state, we have a role to play, and this is how the state runs. So, well, some observations on this, please.
I think it is attributed to President John Kennedy.
Yes, sorry, it's Kennedy. It's not Lincoln. It's Kennedy. Yes, Kennedy. Yes,
Kennedy, yeah.
yes, yes.
Because on the
That,
day
let
of
me correct
his
myself. Yes,
uh,
yes, yes.
on the day of his inauguration, he gave a lengthy speech in which these sentences were present. Ask not what the country has given for you, ask what you yourself can give to the country. Young president, about 42 years of age, Kennedy gave to the nation an inspiration to contribute their might and never to ask in return. So, a good state and a bad state, as Professor Rao pointed out, good state is one that progresses, protects as well as gives opportunity for everyone to flourish. A bad state in which Socrates was poisoned. Therefore, such state is to be altogether shunned. But there is an international committee. You cannot desert a country, even if it is a bad one. Syria cannot be deserted by everyone. Hamas cannot kill all Israelis. So these are the uh, compulsions of our state, and we cannot withdraw ourselves from one bad state and progress to or proceed to a progressive state. So there are limitations, yet there is scope for improvement. The philosopher Leibniz said, although the world is not good, it is the best of all possible worlds. What an optimism! It is the best of all possible worlds, as if Leibniz himself had created this world at the cost of others. So that is how philosophers take us to those distant goals, those states which may be utopian in character, yet they gave us hope, they gave us optimism, and to survive in spite of bad circumstances. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Well, again, if I bring in John F. Kennedy again to the picture, if we give primacy to the point and we question ourselves that what I have contributed to the state or the society, if I make that primary, the very distinction of the idea of calling, say, state as a good or bad, that will not come to picture, because I'm questioning myself that what contribution that I have made. So if the question falls on me, nothing comes from my side. I'll say that it's a good or bad state because it is my role as an individual that is taken up prime place. So I will not talk whether it's a good state or a bad state, because anything that I make a distinction of saying it's a good state or a bad state, finally the dagger will fall on me, because what contribution that personally I have made, that is brought to the picture. So the very idea of distinction of good and bad state will somehow will not come. I'm not saying it will not come, but somehow it will have an effect that will be not that strong and hard. That will be somehow there is a blurring of that distinction of saying if something a state is good or bad, because the dagger will ultimately fall on me. What I have given to the state, that is primary, taken primary. You will not make a distinction of saying this is a good state or a bad state, because whatever the state of nature may be, whatever the condition that may be, it is on me, because I am the member, as a member of the society, I question myself. So this is how I take the entire picture. Okay, sir, can we hold on to this?
Yeah,
What sort of
true.
yes, yes.
We are the architects of our own destiny. There is no one above or below to guide us. Therefore, whatever we think, we must act. As Gandhiji said, everything I say, I feel, and everything I act, I understand. Therefore, the only part is if you question yourself, what is your role in shaping the destiny of a country, you will certainly be humbled. You will say that I have contributed this to the state, and this way the state flourishes. That is a very great example. Your pride is humbled. Your support for the state becomes doubled. You will not cry foul. You will not be rolling in self pity. Therefore, the best way is be bold, do something good, and be good. That's all.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, during the course of the lecture, somehow I missed the point, because somehow where you talked of George Orwell's Animal Farm.
Right?
Okay, so,
Hmm.
So you were referring to pigs as the proletariat. The what
Uh,
uh, you were ref-
it
no,
is a, it's just a satire. It is just a creation
no,
because
no, no, no.
no, no,
I
they
wish to know
dictate.
the when I wish to
No,
know the connection, because somehow I
that's
missed the
that's
point.
right. That's right. All elements are equal. Some are more equal than others. Who are they? More equal? Are they the ruling class? Are they the struggling class? The laboring class? Answer is the proletariats, the masters. They are more equal than others. A handful of people who are elected by the primary, they hold the key to administer the whole country, whether it is communist China or the former Soviet Russia. It was left to a very few people who are powerful enough to guide the destinies of the millions of people under them. Therefore, so when the pigs said they became the controllers, they said all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than the others. Who are the more equals? They themselves. They cannot be questioned. They are creator of the fortune of the own uh, form, animal form. Okay, thank you.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Well, one more thing that I was thinking of, two positions. Well, you also referred to Socrates in the beginning, more on Socrates, but less on Galileo and all the scientific thinkers. Well, when we talk of Socrates, well, you made a reference to this. Socrates, in say, did not disobey the state, because you see, even though he was of to the greater extent, okay, he though he was on the right side, but still he obeyed the state, because any disobedience, maybe Socrates thought, because the primacy of the state, the point that I'm trying to make is the primacy of the state. Socrates was on a point where he knew that the point that he's raising is well and right, but he did not disobey the state, because when we talk of the state, the even the death sentence that he was subjected to, he did not disobey, because even though his friends, especially Crito and all, who tried a lot in order that Socrates can escape safe to some other land, but Socrates did not deny the punishment of the state. So how do you see the picture as to why Socrates, because he was wanted to prove the state is primary. Number one, did he want to show that any say uh, say um, disobedience to the state will set uh, as a contradictory position to the people in the state, because the state will not be primary then, because it will turn as a model for others to refute the state orders. So how do you see this? Because even though Socrates felt that he was on the right side, he was right, he was having a right point, but he did not disobey the state. So how do you see this, sir?
Uh, I observe from two sides. One is Socrates, being a lover of truth, was committed to it till the end. And secondly, as you have said, state is the supreme and state is to be honored. So on both counts, Socrates was the winner. It was a win-win situation for him. When he died for a cause, he became immortal, and I gave a sort of hint to the rulers of the day that let us not play with fire because we will all be burnt out. And after that, this state was in a turmoil. Although Socrates honored the whims, the dictates of the rulers, he did not desert them, he honored them. At the same time, he honored his own principles for which he stood. So it is a sort of double victory for Socrates, honoring himself and honoring the order of the day. Okay.
So in this context again, if we take Galileo
Yeah.
again, when he was supporting the heliocentric position that Copernicus has given, okay, he was
Yeah.
supporting the heliocentric position. The church had still then, even though the Copernican position has been expressed, but it was Galileo who was to prove it, and he came to a point where he asserted that the geocentric view of the universe is not right, rather the heliocentric position is correct. So because it was going against the doctrines or the norms of the church, and it was going against religion, so he was imprisoned. Okay, he was imprisoned, and Galileo in the prison, he acted as a dramatist. He acted, no, no, somehow my calculations were wrong, and the state, the Christian doctrine that the earth is at the center, the sun is moving around, that is the right position. All he did, because he wanted to escape, so that and escape to a land, so that his idea that the truth that the sun is at the center and not the earth, that has to be proved, that has to be established. Because if it is not done, then maybe it will take another maybe a century, I don't know, another lot of time again to come up with the position to establish that position. So this is another mindset where Galileo, okay, even though he played he played with the drama that no, 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 I'm with the state, I'm with the position, the geocentric position, all in order to escape from the prison, escape to a land where the laws of the land of the state doesn't apply, and there he came to the forefront to establish the heliocentric position. So this is another mindset, and how do you see this?
It's a simple. Galileo was about 70 years of age when he was fighting for justice, but he gave up. Bertrand Russell said Galileo would have left the country to save himself uh, without compromising with his own views. But Galileo was thinking ahead of his time. Science was not an authority then, it was just burgeoning or beginning of the era. Therefore, Galileo felt that if I go away or imprison myself or I should die in prison, that would not be a gain to the scientific society. Therefore, for a moment, let us withdraw. So they said, all that I have done, he recanted. All that I have done is wrong, false, and out of ignorance I did it. Therefore, what the Bible thinks that is correct, I agree with it. So he escaped the guillotine. So there are possibilities. Socrates was equally old, but his conviction was profound. Galileo, it appears to be a bit a timid man, afraid of compromise, afraid of saving his skin. Therefore, he had to resort to a compromise where the rulers were happy that a profound scholar like Galileo had to recant. That was, of course, momentary. In this way, although he saved his life for a moment, he became immortal later on because all his findings were proved to be right. Thank you very much.
No, well, thank you so much. Well, taking these two people, okay, the teachings of Socrates and what happened to Socrates at the end, and what and how tactfully Galileo dealt. Now, don't you think that Socrates, okay, Socrates had his own grounds, no doubt, but what should have happened? I don't know. I don't know. Just for the debate's sake, um, would it not be the case that a great man like Socrates died, who, like Galileo, would have contributed a lot, but he took a decision in favor of the state to be subjected to the state laws. Okay, he happily, you don't know, well, as we study him, we are informed that he happily, laughingly, he took hemlock, but it was painful, isn't it? It was painful. But taking both these positions, okay, in the present context, how do you make a balanced view? What message that you carry in your mind, taking both these thinkers, the great men? I am not refuting any one of them. How do we should take life at the present moment? Because contexts have changed, things have changed, and we are more in a pragmatic world. Okay, rather than the ideal world, ideal state where people like Socrates or Galileo, sorry, people like Socrates or Plato or Aristotle they stayed. But in the present pragmatic sense, how do you take both the thinkers, and what would be your message?
Well, see, Socrates had forerunners. Many philosophers who were ahead of their time were there before Socrates was born. Therefore, he had a legacy of philosophers speaking of their mind, but they were not vandalized, they were not put to task. So, that way, Socrates said that there were enough philosophers who could have been tried, but they did not try them. And I am tried because my impact is profound on the society itself. So, for a false charge that I am corrupting the youth, let me take the hemlock and die. That's good. But in the case of Galileo, science was not, particularly astronomy was not popular then. They Galileo died in 1642. Newton was born, and Newton was a profound scientist of his day. Therefore, science was rather in the infancy. So, Galileo himself, perhaps, although he had enough of his brain power that he was right, he did not dare because there were not enough scientists to protect or protest against his convictions. Therefore, he became almost a friendless man and submitted himself to the wrong decision of the era. So it is better to be Socrates dissatisfied than a pig satisfied. Better to be a Galileo recanting his opinion for a moment than to die incognito. That's right.
So the position that I come up with is that Socrates, for Socrates, state was primary, but for Galileo, the right scientific understanding was primary. So this is how I take both of them, because both are have their own grounds, and we can place them on their own footing. But one line that comes to my mind is, for Socrates, the state and the state laws are primary, and for Galileo, it is the right scientific understanding that has to stay, and that is primary. That's why he sacrificed. Okay, he disobeyed in order to give primacy to the right scientific understanding. This is how I see. Thank you so much, sir. Well, yes.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you. Yeah, well analyzed. That's right. There is no dispute over that. I am happy that whatever I have said has not gone down the drain. It has evoked you, urged you, rather stimulated this discussion. Thank you again.
okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. Well, we have people here. We have Brindavan sir. We have Kailash sir. I request any one of them to have their views. Uh, Brindavan sir, please. Yes, sir. Namaskar, sir. Please.
Sir, namaskar. Radhanath sir, namaskar.
Sir, namaskar, sir. Please, sir.
Actually,
Namaste. हाँ,
actually, actually, I have no questions at all. I am very much grateful to Radhanath sir because he has vast knowledge in philosophy. He's a man from mathematics, but he has vast knowledge in philosophy. uh, 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 he was explaining the nature of state and who should be the ruler of the state, what is just state, what is ideal state, what is good state, so many things. He has explained very beautifully and answered all the questions raised by our Professor K. M. Narayan Rao very beautifully. Very, very. মানে, you are really you are a great person, sir. I am again pay my respect to you, sir. Sir, I will request I would request one thing that we know that we have philosophy of every sciences. We have philosophy of history, philosophy of political science, philosophy of mathematics, philosophy of economics, everything. So I request you to speak something about the philosophy, as you are a man of mathematics, philosophy of mathematics in the next session or next discussion. It will be a request from my side. And then I will supplement to Dr. K. M. Narayana Rao that Galileo and Socrates, that a true philosopher is a true scientist. What I say, am I wrong, sir? So Galileo is true in his own platform, and Socrates is also true in his own platform. This is my observation, and thanks. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Brundavan sir. Thank you so much. Well, Kailash sir, would you like to say something? Dr. Maharana. Yes.
So I will give my observation actually in
during the
course of my
during the
time.
close down session. Okay. Well, we have with us Manoranjan Sahu sir. He's a man from English, and there is a reference to George Orwell's Animal Farm. Now, taking Animal Farm and few words from Manoranjan Sahu sir, maybe would add up to this discussion. Sir, if you are free and if you are free to say something, sir, I request. It's a request. Taking Animal Farm, George Orwell's Animal Farm. How do you see this? How it sets up the communist sort of structure? Please, sir. If you have time, if you are free, no compulsion. Anyway, so maybe he's busy, but sometimes most of the times he travels. Maybe he's traveling. That may be the point. Well, Shravani madam, would you had a message of thanking Professor Behera sir? Please, your any suggestion, question, please. Welcome.
Sir, sir, namaskar. Sir, thank you very much. I pay my regards to Professor Dr. Radhanath sir. I don't have any questions, sir. Actually, I have learned so many things from sir's presentation that he was discussing on the state politics, so many things, and different philosophers, scientists, opinion, views, and theories regarding state and philosophy. What is philosophy? That is search for truth. So many things that he has discussed. One thing, sir, I want to add that state. You have asked one question: what state expects from us, or what is the expectation of state from the individuals or the members who are associated or the citizens of a state? That I have also mentioned in the chat box. That is rights and duties, both are simultaneously both should simultaneously happen, because if we will not exercise our duties, then we cannot enjoy our rights also. One example I can cite, that is in our Indian constitution there is one right in article 21, that is right to live with dignity. That is one right. If I shall pay respect to others, then another other person will ensure his or her rights. In this way, if we will exercise our duties, our devotions, everything, our love for motherland and work for motherland, then ultimately all the members can enjoy their rights properly. If we will pay respect to others, others will also pay respect to us. In this way, in a welfare state, in my opinion, both should simultaneously work, and accordingly, our state can develop, prosper in this way. Uh, uh, Sir, this much I want to add. So many things that I have learned, sir. I am very grateful to you, sir, and I will also love to listen your talk in further course of action that sir can say about this. Sir, thank you very much. I pay my utmost regards, sir. Sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Srapati Madam. Well, again, good point that I got. Well, rights and duties, well, they are complementary. You cannot claim for your rights unless and until somebody else delivers a duty. So they go hand in hand. So one more thing that comes to my mind is, as individuals in the state, be responsible. Okay, try to deliver your duties to the best of your capacities and make a less claim for your rights. So that is how I again take things. Because what we do is we claim for our rights more than the duties that we deliver. So there the problem again arises. So as an individual, as a committed individual, we should be committed to our duties, performance of our duties in the best possible way. I'm not saying I am an ideal person to do the duties. I'm not saying that. To the best possible way, let me deliver my duties, because everybody is born with different capacities, and the best possible way one can deliver his duties, that he has to come with. He has to serve that way. Okay, but at the same time, make a less claim for your rights. They are there, even though you don't claim they are there. Make a less of claim, but committed to more committed to your duty. That's how I try to see this entire position. The equation between duties and claims. Thank you. Rights. Thank you. Well,
That
uh,
is also my feeling, because right and duty are the two sides of the same coin. Or you can say, if one goes up, the other comes down. So without claiming any further fruit of your right, go on discharging your duty to the utmost capability of yours. So this way, state flourishes. State is dumb. State is inert. State may be throbbing with activity, but then it is voiceless in a sense. It cannot command you to do something unless there is a suitable constitution to work for it. Therefore, the better chance would be state be left to itself to grow on its own, and individuals certainly will be prosperous under a prosperous state. That's thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Well, I see Amina, sir, but I will not ask him to say something because he has joined just now. As you could see, I just thank him. But if he wants to join us, say something, he is welcome. But I'll not ask him to say because he has joined now. He has not listened to the discussion. But anyway, still he wants to say something, is welcome. Well, in the meantime, anybody who is interested to have some comment or say something, they are welcome. I'll wait for half a minute. Then, sir, please, sir.
Small question.
Yes, sir, please, sir. Because I invited you in the beginning, that's why I did not make a reference in the last. Okay, a reversal of trend today. Okay.
No, no, no,
Well, sir, welcome, sir. Welcome.
my question to both of you, Radhanath sir and you, that in case of Galileo and Socrates, they attempted two types of actions in a very in the moment of urgency, when there is a question of life and state or life and science. So they are taking different types of decisions. Both are educated, both are rational. My point is when there is a dispute in empirical science and there can be a dispute in region. For example, uh, a plus b whole square is equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab. Suppose there is a dispute in it. This is a one type of dispute, and the other dispute is which is based upon empirical evidence. Whether sun is the center or earth center, it is subject to further inquiry. So here one can take time, one can withdraw, one can make a compromise. But when there is a mathematical question, sir belongs to mathematics department. When there is a dispute in mathematical equation, mathematical, which is very conclusive by nature, very deductive by nature, there is no doubt in mathematical movements. So when there comes a challenge, do you think that both the challenges are same and reactions in both the cases will be same? This may be a very silly question, but this question comes to my mind. Radhanath sir, you tell me.
It is not a silly question, though appears to be silly. It is a mind-blowing question. I am reminded of a sort of anecdote. Uh, People familiar with um, Othello and Hamlet, the two tragedies of Shakespeare, will recall that Hamlet was drifting, whether to punish his father or not. He was drifting, and he spoils the situation. The other was Othello by the villain called Iago. And Iago or Iago, they say, Iago acted impulsively, killing his wife. He should have waited. So, if there is an exchange between these two actors, things would have gone different. Hamlet instantly killing the mischievous or the criminal father, and Desdemona's life could have been saved had he drifted. Iago waited for some more time. Now, this is a situation where, of course, one recants, withdraws his statement, which he carried over years. The other gladly accepting hemlock and saying that, can you catch the real me? Because uh, Crito was the witness, another student of him, disciple of him. Crito, the dying philosopher, said to him, I owe a cock to my neighbor. I had borrowed it. Please repay it. And Crito was very much upset. What to do? Then he questioned, Master, how do you like your body to be disposed? Laughingly, he said, can you catch me, the real me? You cannot. Do whatever you like to this soulless body. It is up to you. But the real me is transcending this body. That was his answer. Therefore, the best thing would be, it would be a mind game to put Iago in place of Hamlet and Hamlet in place of Iago. So these two situations should have been different. Now, the answer would be, it is, as I said, it's a win-win situation. Both sides are winners. The state is the winner because it has disposed of Socrates. Socrates is the winner because it has honored the laws of the state as well as his own conviction that he would not leave the country and flee as a traitor or as a coward. Galileo was right because since science was immature, there was no one to defend him. So he defended himself by saying a simple line as a sort of compromise. Yes, whatever I have written is wrong. They are all false. I approve that the rule of the state is final. So this way, uh, it's a mind game. When Dr. Das questions this, it is not a silly question. It's certainly a big one. But then things are over. Galileo is no more there to answer us, nor there is Socrates. Why he drank poison? So these things come to us uh, thousands of years after this of Shakespeare, I mean Socrates, and about 400 years after Galileo. I hope I am clear.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Well, again, subscribe to my own view, just trying to uh, explain this in a bit different light. Socrates was all about setting laws for the state. He was giving, how can he be an example against what he was preaching? He was preaching state is primary. Now, any disobedience to
Hmm.
what he was preaching would set an example to deny the state. Okay, number one. That's how we can take Socrates was justified in his stand. When we come to Galileo, he is not preaching state laws. He is not preaching state laws. He is not codifying state laws. He is codifying scientific laws. So he took scientific laws to be primary. That's why he was in obedience to the scientific laws. He is not obedient to the state because he was not framing the state laws. When we talk of Socrates, he was discussing, he was preaching what the state should be like, what is the role of a person, an individual in the state, and the primacy of the state to punish the individuals if the state is not happy with the individual. This is what Socrates was saying. How can he deny the state rules? So that's how Socrates is justified. But when we come to Galileo, he was not defining the state laws, he was defining the scientific laws. He was giving primacy to the scientific laws. That's why he was committed not to the state, but to the scientific community, but to the scientific explanation
Dr.
of
Rao,
the truth that should have prevailed. So
Dr.
that is the
Rao,
position that I. Yes, sir.
Doctor, in one sentence I shall say that there is a fight between deontological reason and the contextual understanding. Hello?
Yes, sir.
That,
Yes, sir.
that,
Yes,
that,
sir.
is, that there is a fight between two principles. One is the
Yes. Yes.
deontological reason that
Yes. The primacy of the principles. The
this must
primacy
be
of the
that,
principle.
this must be that, and
Yes. Yes.
another
Yes.
is flexibility.
The
Another is
consequences.
contextuality. So
Contextuality. Yes.
Galileo went with context,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Socrates went with principle. So
Deontology.
therefore,
Deontology.
I said that the responses of both are two different types of responses.
Yes.
One is mathematical, and the other is empirical.
No.
So, okay, so
No. Even no. No. Even
that
no.
was my
Mathematical.
point.
No. No. Mathematical formulas that we talk of, they are also not immune to revision. Even the mathematical laws are not immune from revision. They are subject to revision. So that's how we cannot say the mathematical laws are final for all time. They are also subject to revision. So that's why one thing that I like from you is the commitment to principles in Socrates and the commitment to the context, the commitment to the outcome that was primary. Okay, the teleology was
Okay,
primary
okay. Huh, yes, yes, yes.
in Galileo,
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
the deontology was primary in
Yes,
Socrates.
sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir. Yes, sir.
so
Sir,
that is the
let us
beautiful thing. In that.
conclude here. Let us conclude here.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
We can move to Dr. Maharana for his observations, and I thank Professor Dr. Radhanath sir for his beautiful exposition on his ideas. Well, let us move to Dr. Maharana, Kailash Maharana sir for his views and proposal of a vote of thanks. Thank you. Thank you all.
So
Namaskaram.
if Radhanath sir wants to say something, then allow him. Okay,
Yes,
okay, let
yes,
him to
yes,
okay conclude. Then I will.
sir, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You want to say something, sir? Please. Yes, sir. Want to
Now,
say
now
something, sir?
it becomes superfluous. We have already discussed many things because the
Okay. Okay.
questions were illuminating. So I have nothing more to add.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Then let's
Let,
move to Dr.
let,
Maharan. Okay.
let us stop for a moment and we meet again sometime.
Okay, okay, okay. Uh, so thanks so much, Dr. Rao. After a long period of time, we had a very good academic session with Professor Radhanath Behera sir. So in course of the history of philosophy, we have come across the good philosophers and good mathematicians. We also learned that a good philosopher is a good mathematician in many cases, and we had also that how some good mathematicians proved themselves as good philosophers. So today, what we learn from Professor Behera is that Professor Behera is a scholar of mathematics, but he has an outstanding knowledge of philosophy that has amazed us. And today, Radhan sir has very beautifully discussed the good state, the ideal state, and how a philosopher can be the true ruler of a state. And he has said that uh, a good state is that which is administered by philosophers, and good state is that where people have to be ideal, otherwise the state will be spoiled. And we can also see its contradiction in the present time if we'll have a world view. And Professor Behera has very clearly said that a philosopher should be gentle one. He should be courageous. He should be a man of highest wisdom. And state cannot command anything to the individuals. And Professor Behera has very clearly said that how that Shravani madam was also asking that what the state expects the individuals. And Plato, in his view, had said, as Professor Behera said, that state wants the human excellence. So, if the human excellence is that is human that human excellence the year, then state can prove itself as an ideal state. So today, Professor Radhan sir has very clearly given the concept of ideal state, the concept of a good philosophers and good ruler. And today we have learned so many things from the interaction of Professor Behera with Professor Pramod Kumar Das and Professor K. Umanan Rao. We really have been benefited out of their discussion. So I could not think that this kind of discussion should enhance our knowledge. Oh, they really the interaction session is very much important than the talk. Professor Behera has a profound knowledge of everything that he told, but the interaction with Professor Behera has really enhanced our dimension thought. And today, Professor Behera has also said that has given his view on the values. The values may include the value of the mental ability and the creativity. If all values are, are guaranteed, then the society can be ideal. So a real state or an ideal state needs the transformation of values, the development of values. And Professor Behera has given his views very clearly. And last, I would be very thankful to Professor Behera for his concept, for his observation. As he said that it is better to be Socrates, Socrates dissatisfied than the pig is easily satisfied from his observation, from his knowledge in social sciences. That is our Western philosophers. And at last, when the discussion was going on in between the contribution and the thought of Galileo and Socrates, it was also very amazing. And Professor Behera has given his brilliant answer to all the question raisers. Whenever Professor Rao was asking a question, when Professor Das was asking any question, when they were debating among themselves, then Professor Behera has simplified his answer, and he has given his clear exposition. He has given his clear responses to all the questions in simple form. So that is how a mathematician can have a clear articulation to all kinds of questions that is raised by a question raised by a philosopher. And at last, um, it was concluded in that's when Professor Rao was saying that in between two things, the obedience to state and obedience to mathematics, or obedience to the excellence, obedience to obedience of, or primacy to state and primacy to mathematics, both by Socrates and Galileo. So thanks so much. Today, I am very much happy to learn something that I have not known from the discussion of Professor Behera sir. I am also very much happy to learn something from Professor Das and Professor Rao. So today, I extend my gratitude to Professor Behera sir. I bow down before him. I bow down, that is for his for a profound knowledge in philosophy, and I express my gratitude to him and request Professor Behera sir to have his philosophical reflection on different topics that he likes in future occasions, with the connectivity of our admin, Professor Das. So once again, I extend my gratitude to all the participants that they have raised their question, that they have participated silently. I also extend my gratitude to Stabani madam, and Brundavan sir and others. Those have raised their questions. Thanks so much. And once again, I extend my gratitude to all and request Professor Pramod Kwantas to wind up the session with.
We all also thank you, sir, Professor Maharana. We also thank you.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
With the sense of gratitude, this meeting is declared closed, sir. Thank you, sir. Grateful to all. Thank you. Am I audible, sir?
Namaskar, everybody.
Yes, yes, yes,
Namaskar,
yes.
everybody. Namaskar. Namaskar.